figure, barbed wire weekend is what they're calling it. And Brad is on with us this morning. Good morning to you, Brad.
Good morning, Greg and Tom. Thanks for having me.
Good
Thank you for
morning.
joining us today. Before we get into all things DeKalb County and the Convention and Visitors Bureau and this special weekend, tell us about you. Where did you grow up and go to school, and how'd you find yourself working for the DeKalb County Convention and Visitors Bureau?
No, sure thing. I'm very much a part of the 815, gentlemen. I was born here in DeKalb, although I wasn't raised here. My parents were originally from South Beloit. And so shortly after I was born, moved back to South Beloit. So I grew up in South Beloit in Rockton and went to Hononegah High School. And then back to NIU to go to college. Spent 4 years here in college, and then got my first job, believe it or not, in the media business, doing radio.
Okay.
Started at WRHL in Rochelle. Did some radio at WLUV up in beautiful Loves Park, Illinois.
Oh, the love pump. Joe Salvi.
Legend, Mr. Salvi.
Yeah, I worked for him as well.
Yeah, was the voice of the McChesney Park Harlem Huskies for a couple of years. But some people of a certain age may remember my time as a reporter and anchor and sports anchor up at WIFR in Rockford. Where I worked for 5 years, and what a great experience that was, working with some great people and a lot of great memories up there, and really kind of cut my teeth in the media business. And I came back to NIU, got an opportunity to produce our coaches shows and do a lot of promotions and marketing on the video and media side for NIU. And I did that for over 20 years, produce our coaches show, Inside Husky Sports. I was the host of that show for 10 of those 20 years, besides being the producer and director. And then I moved into university administration, and I was our media relations director, did our marketing and communications effort, and I was a spokesperson for NIU, and then came full circle and went back and did a little bit of fundraising for NIU athletics. So all total, I worked 30 years at NIU, but part of that time, I was also got involved in the DeKalb County Convention and Visitors Bureau. And that's our destination marketing organization for DeKalb County, very much like the Rockford area CVB up in the Rockford neck of the woods. And I was on that board for about 11 years and was the chair of the board. And when I cycled off the board and retired for NIU, they hired me, foolishly enough, to kind of be a jack of all trades. And my title is Special Projects Manager. And it's a part-time gig, but very much we're doing something every day. And we have a great team. It's a small team, but a great team. Our executive director is Courtney Strohacker. Catherine McLaughlin is our marketing director. And then we have a great marketing assistant, Alexis Avalos. So we call ourselves small but mighty. But it's a great group. I'm kind of like Grandpa Brad, guys. But I tell people, they're like, "How are you enjoying retirement, Brad?" I said, "I'm failing it miserably and loving it."
That's a good way to look at it. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, it's a great job. And if you would have asked me, 10, 20 years ago, would I be employed in tourism, travel in the area? And I probably would have said, well, I'd be involved in some way, maybe through my efforts on the board, but I didn't think I would be employed by it. But it's really, with everything that I've done throughout my career, it's kind of a great fit. When I was at NIU, people said I was one of the biggest cheerleaders for NIU, and I'm still a big cheerleader for NIU as my alma mater and working so closely with the institution. But now I get a chance to be a cheerleader for all great things in DeKalb County. And so that's why I'm excited to be with you here this morning.
For those who don't get out to DeKalb or Sycamore very often, we hear about the Corn Fest, right? And maybe we hear about Barbed Wire Weekend. Is there what is there? And of course NIU, all things NIU. What is there something that you could say is maybe one of those little known facts that this is something that one of the gems of DeKalb County that people tend to overlook, that you're kind of confused why they overlook it?
That great question, and I'll give you a couple of things. One of the things that we have here is we have some great makers, and those are the folks that either grow products, make products that are sold not only throughout the region and throughout the state of Illinois, but all across the country and across the world in some cases. And we have 5 organizations or 5 businesses that are a part of the state of Illinois' Illinois Made program. And among them are our distillery, Whiskey Acres, located in DeKalb, award-winning spirits, including some fantastic bourbons and ryes. Jonah Mac Orchard, which is opening here in just a few weeks at the end of August. Obviously, it's an apple orchard, but they have a corn maze. They have a visitor center there, a cider house, they call it. Fantastic apple cider, hard cider, amazing destination to go in the fall. We have 2 wineries, Prairie State Winery in beautiful Genoa and Waterman Winery in Waterman, Illinois. And so these are, we call our Illinois makers. We also have Angie Sugar Buzz Bakery down in Sandwich, Illinois, and Sub 70. And I heard Tom talking before we went on about golf. And Sub 70 is based in Sycamore, and they make high-end golf clubs, but for a very bargain price. And how good are their golf clubs? We have there's several professional golfers on the PGA Tour, on the Senior Tour, on the Korn Ferry Tour that are playing their golf clubs. So that's kind of some of the hidden gems that we have here in DeKalb County, and great places to visit, to explore, and to partake in when they pay a visit to us.
Nice. Tom will take some of those clubs.
I need some.
They're fantastic. It's online. You can go to their shop right in downtown Sycamore on State Street and get a fitting. And we're online. If you check them out online or check out some of their videos on YouTube, it's just a fantastic brand, and we're very excited that they are now designated as a Illinois maker, an official Illinois maker through the Illinois Office of Tourism.
Cool. You didn't lose a club when you fell in the water hazard, did you, Tom?
No, I did not. I just lost my dignity and 1 golf ball. Wow. A moment I will never live down.
Well, and the 3 people that saw it with you, right? So you're okay. We're all right.
Yeah.
No other video evidence. Barbed Wire Weekend is a ways away yet, but it'll be here before you know it, right? So tell us, what is Barbed Wire Weekend?
Well, as you mentioned, one of the legacies of the DeKalb County area, and in DeKalb in particular, is barbed wire, and of course our barbed wire barons, as they are known. Joseph Glidden is one of them, and the others are Isaac Elwood and Jacob Haish. Not only were they purveyors of barbed wire, it was a massive industry in the late 1800s. They were among the richest men in the country at that time, and they also were the founders of Northern Illinois University. So 3 very instrumental historic figures that are celebrated and renowned even today. And but this is going to be the 150th anniversary of the patent for Joseph Glidden's winner. And that is the design that really was the I guess the launching for the catalyst for the explosion of barbed wire. And so to commemorate that anniversary, the Glidden Homestead, which is run by a descendant of Jacob Haish and Jesse Jesse H. LaRue, and the great board that they have over there. They are hosting a barbed wire weekend, which is scheduled for September 28th and 29th. Now, there is a barbed wire society that really is, these are fans and groups that study barbed wire and that celebrate barbed wire. And they have conferences all over the country, annual conference. And since this is the 150th anniversary of the patent for the winner, they're having their conference here in DeKalb at Northern Illinois University on that weekend. So along with the conference, there's going to be various events that will be celebrating that. There'll be events at the Glidden Homestead, which is right on Route 38. Essentially, the backyard for the Glidden Homestead is Northern Illinois University. That property that was owned by the Glidden family and part of it also owned by the Elwood family, that eventually became the Castle on the Hill, Altgeld Hall, and Northern Illinois University. So it's literally almost on the grounds of Northern Illinois University. That's where barbed wire was invented. So very easy to get to, but there will also be tours of various farms in the area, historic locations. Obviously, the Elwood House, which is a beautiful mansion maintained by the DeKalb Park District, and that is nearby in DeKalb. And so there'll be a lot of different events associated with that. There'll be a dinner, but it's a big weekend here. And so there's not only barbed wire weekend, but there's other things going on in DeKalb and DeKalb County on that weekend. So we're really excited to have these people coming from not only all over the country, but really all over the world to celebrate this invention that essentially changed the world and continues to make its mark today.
I put the link in the chat so people can get to the website really, really easily. And anyone who's not been involved in the farming community at all probably has no idea how much barbed wire is used and how prevalent it is across the country. And it's once you kind of stop and think about that, it's no wonder that the guy who invented the best form of barbed wire got stinking filthy rich.
Yeah. But the one thing about these gentlemen, the barbed wire barons, obviously Joseph Glidden, Isaac Elwood, Jacob Haish, but they were also, the reason that they're celebrated today, and if you come into the community, you see their names everywhere, along with other individuals from that era, is that they were very philanthropic. And so they've established a legacy here and really helped develop DeKalb, Sycamore, DeKalb County, and of course, Northern Illinois University. So these were, more than just gentlemen that were, very creative, obviously very innovative. There's a lot of agricultural innovation. That's another thing that DeKalb County is known for. Obviously, people are familiar with the flying ear of corn from the old DeKalb ag days. But these folks made a mark by giving back to their community, and that's why they're so celebrated today. And that's why there was other forms of barbed wire, but what these guys did, particularly Joseph Glidden, who was the first one, they created a technique that it could be mass produced.
Right.
That's the reason why it was such a big deal back there in the 1860s, and why it's still a big deal today.
It's a pretty amazing story, and you get to hear all about it at DeKalb County Barbed Wire Weekend, September 28th and 29th at the Glidden Homestead, 150th anniversary in celebration of Glidden's The Winner patent, because there was a bunch of different styles of barbed wire, but only one was able to be mass produced so quickly and easily and efficiently, and there it is. You see it everywhere.
Well, and as you guys know, and many people in the 815 know, DeKalb, like you mentioned it. So, hey, from the Barb City, Brad Hoy, and and the name of the high school mascot are the Barbs, Barbie Crow. So, so it's very much ingrained in the community. One of the things during Barbed Wire Weekend, and folks that are going to come down and visit during that time, The merchants on Saturday, the 28th, will be having their back alley market. That's something that they have a couple of times a year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And that brings in hundreds, if not thousands of people to check out some of the different items. And it's a flea market, not only for local merchants, but for people from all over the region. And so some of the businesses are participating, and they're going to have their windows painted. There'll be a barbed wire going all around through the downtown DeKalb on our merchants' windows. So that'll be something very cool to see. And then on Sunday, the 29th, is our annual DeKalb Corn Classic Road Race. And that will bring in hundreds of folks to the county and in DeKalb in particular. So there's a lot going on that weekend. So I encourage folks to come down for the entire weekend, see all the historic places that we do, go to these events, stay in our hotels, and visit our fantastic restaurants and attractions that we have here.
There's a lot more to do and see in DeKalb than NIU. It's a whole lot more than that, just that. So, all right. Well, before we
Such a beautiful area,
before we get to trivia, we're gonna bring on our second guest here in just a second. So Andrea, be standing by. Before we bring Andrea on and do a little Tom Warner trivia, anything we didn't ask you about today, Brad, that you wanted to make sure we touch on before we move on?
Well, you talked about Corn Fest, and that's coming up at the end of August. There are some really big festivals and events coming up. You mentioned NIU. NIU football kicks off on August 31st against Western Illinois. So an intrastate rivalry. So we'll have fans from both NIU and the Leathernecks coming in that. The weekend before is Corn Fest. Another huge festival that is here is Pumpkin Fest in Sycamore in late October. And then in early September is the Sandwich Fair. And I know this is county fair time in the 815. When you're talking about the Winnebago County Fair, the Boone County Fair, the DeKalb County Fair is called the Sandwich Fair, and it's in Sandwich. And it is one of the biggest county fairs.
It's a big deal.
Illinois. It is huge. And if folks haven't been there, I encourage you to take the trip down to Sandwich in the southeastern corner of DeKalb County. It is a experience. So that's in early September. I think it's September 5th through the 8th. So we've got a lot going on in the fall, but still some fun things coming up here in the weeks ahead.
Awesome. Good deal. For all things DeKalb County, check out the website, DeKalbCountyCVB.com.
Absolutely.
Link is in the chat. Easy to find. And a lot of fun to be had in the DeKalb Sycamore Sandwich area around all over DeKalb County. Andrea, you ever been to DeKalb County?
I've been to DeKalb County a few times, and I'm looking forward to that Sandwich Fair because Riley Green is playing there this year.
Yes.
So excited.
Awesome. Well, before we get into all things Andrea and Blue 815, it's time for some Tom trivia. I need a sounder for you, Tom. I got to come up with something. For now, we're just going to do this right here. Only because it's short and sweet and kind of dynamic. Okay, Tom, what do you got for trivia this week?
A little bit anticlimactic, but hey, we'll work on that one. All right. Well, poor Andrea, she's jumping right into the fire. That's not even fair. She didn't even get a chance to warm up.
I'm not even great at trivia either.
We're a team. We're a team, Brad and Andrea. We're a team.
You're a team. You're all three. You're all three. No, you won't need it. Don't worry. All right, here we go. Question number 1, movie locations. In which country was the movie franchise Lord of the Rings filmed? Once again, in which country was the movie franchise Lord of the Rings filmed?
I'm pretty sure I know this one, guys. Do you have a guess?
Three, I believe, filmed in one country.
I'm going to throw out a random guess of like Scotland. I don't know.
Good guess. I don't believe that's the
Very
answer.
Good guess.
I would say Iceland.
Also a good guess. I'm
I
pretty sure, though,
Good
everything was
guess.
filmed in New Zealand. I think it was
New
down
Zealand.
under.
Okay.
New Zealand is correct. New Zealand is correct. But both of those are very good guesses.
Well, we
Yeah,
both
right.
picked island countries.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All would have made
All
sense.
right. All right. Here is the next one. I've got five. I've got six of them here. On with three of them. Here we go. How many points do you need for a victory in a game of pickleball? Assuming, of course, that you got to win by two. So forget the tie thing. If you win by two, how many points do you need for a victory in the game of pickleball? A game which I've never played.
I know this one.
Okay, good.
11.
11. 11 is correct. Nicely done. All right.
I got the pickleball paddles for a birthday gift, but I haven't used them yet, so they're still brand new.
Get out there, Greg.
I got to get out there.
All right. Here is the final question. This is a multiple guess, so but it's a fun one, I think. According to Energy Star, and I don't know if it's .com or what. I think it's .com. The United States, it is the United States Environmental Agency's energy saving. It's not a .com. Average person does this at least 33 times per day. Is it flip a light switch on or off, or the refrigerator door? Once again, according to the United States Environmental Agency Energy Saving Program, the average person does this at least 33 times per day. Is it flip a light switch on or off, or open the refrigerator door? Here we go.
I'll jump in and get. I'll take the first guess. I'm going to say the light switch, because if I'm opening the refrigerator door 33 times a day, holy cow!
I agree with you, Brad. I don't know. Do you have any opinion on that, Andrea?
Well, I'm home all summer and don't work in the summers, and I would go with opening the refrigerator based on my own habits.
Andrea is the winner. Look at that. She comes in with no practice, no nothing. She nails it. She nails it. Way to go. You know what's really funny? Brad, you are exactly right. If you open the refrigerator 33 times a day, you're going to weigh about 8,000 pounds. I went by the refrigerator yesterday and I opened it up. I'm like, what am I doing? I shut it.
We're off to a great start.
I let my dog out. And I came back and I opened it up again. I'm like, what am I doing? And then I grabbed the water out. Yeah.
No, if you have a family, and this is where, if you have a family and you're making meals for your family and stuff, I can see that happening very easily.
True. We have 6 kids. So when all the kids were still in the house, I'm sure that refrigerator door opened more than 33 times.
I would say maybe 50 times a day, Greg.
Yeah.
I have no kids, and I'm probably still opening that.
Yeah, this is my wife works basically every day, Monday. She doesn't work Mondays, but anyway, I'm home most of the day because I do trivia at night. That's essentially my night job, and so I'm constantly walking by the fridge. It's a complete habit. Open it up. What am I doing? The same stuff is in there that was in there 5 minutes ago, and I shut it. So I love that question. I'm like, oh my God, that's a great question. I got to use it.
Maybe you want to see if it's still there, Tom.
That's right.
Yeah,
you know when that light goes off, you never know what's going to happen. What's going on in there?
Well, I've seen that commercial where the insurer is picking up the peach or the orange juice and moving it. I don't know what's happening inside that fridge, you know? It's like Toy Story.
My mother-in-law has a sign in her kitchen that says, "Thou shalt not weigh more than thy refrigerator." So I will leave it at that. And Brad, thank you for coming on today. I'm sure we'll catch up with you again as we promote things DeKalb County for you. All right, buddy?
Oh, yeah. I enjoyed it. Thank you, gentlemen. And Andrea, pleasure meeting you.
You as well. Thank you.
Have a
great Come on down to DeKalb County.
Go Huskies.
Go Huskies.
Go Huskies.
And Andrea joins us now. You are in Loves Park. Are you in Loves Park?
I'm in Rockton.
You're in Rockton. Okay, you're a Rockton gal. So before we get into all things Blue 815, tell us about yourself. Where'd you grow up, go to school, and what do you do for a living in this wonderful Northern Illinois area?
Sure. So I grew up just down the street in Roscoe. Went to Hananiga as well. So 2 Hano grads
on that
this morning.
Wow.
I lived in Rockford for about a decade of my adult life, and just in the last few years, actually, I bought my house in Rockton the weekend we went into lockdown for COVID. So
Wow.
I've been back home for about 4 years now. I am a teacher, so that's why I'm off in the summers. And yeah.
Okay. And so you've been teaching, where do you teach nowadays?
I teach at Willowbrook Middle School in South Beloit.
Middle school. You're one of, I know about you now because you're one of the special ones. My wife taught 8th grade math and science for like
Okay.
19 years. So I know what special type of a person it takes to work with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. You
Oh,
are.
boy.
Yeah,
be tough.
we start in just under 2 weeks, so I'm really saving my energy, you know.
Yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on to talk about this organization that you started called Blue 815. And I'm curious the background of this. How did this get started and what do you do?
Sure. So we started actually as a movement. My cousin was Officer Jamie Cox of the Rockford Police Department, who was killed in the line of duty in November of 2017. I would say probably I think it was like the day after his funeral service, I got a phone call from somebody who was like, I think we should petition to change the name of the Morgan Street Bridge to the Police Memorial Bridge. And that came about because there was a candlelight service on the bridge about a day or two after Jamie had passed away. And it just stuck in my head. Like I can still put myself right there in that moment, standing on that bridge with the community surrounding us and just supporting us and holding us up. And, you know, I needed a place to put my grief. I needed a place to put my energy. And so I kind of got a team together and we went and spoke at city council, something I never thought I would ever do in my life. I really don't even know if I knew what I was doing at the time. So we spent several months in contact and back and forth with the city of Rockford and aldermen and the mayor and all the things. We couldn't come to an agreement, which was probably one of the hardest failures I've had in life, I think, to walk away from something that meant so much to me. And within a couple of months, kind of the group that I had working with me directly on the bridge movement, we decided, like, why don't we try to take this following that we've gathered? We had a Facebook group with, you know, at that point, probably 3,000 to 4,000 followers. And why don't we turn this into something we can keep working to benefit our law enforcement officers in the area? And so we came up with Blue 815, and we've now, this year was our 5th anniversary. So we've got some 5th anniversary merch coming out here soon. And, you know, I didn't know at the time how long it would last, if it would take off, if we could make it work or not. But we have, and we've joined a community of really awesome nonprofits that we work side by side with on a lot of projects. And I think that's one of the positive things that I found in this law enforcement community is the Rockford area is actually known for the amount of first responder based nonprofits we have, which is a super cool, positive thing to be known for, and an even cooler thing to be a part of. So
I'm going to put the website up here and put the link in the chat so people can find it really easily. And for those who don't know the story of your cousin Jamie, can you kind of briefly sum up who he was and what he did?
Yeah. So Jamie was more like a brother to me. Our dads are triplet brothers. And he grew up in the Roscoe area as well. I mean, we spent every holiday together. We were together all the time. And he hadn't even been with the Rockford Police Department for a year. Prior to that, he was with the Illinois Conservation Police. And he just wanted something more. He wasn't given a permanent location. There was a lot politically going on in the state at that time. And he was ready to get a family started. So he and his wife had been living at our grandparents' house in Mount Morris. And they bought a house in South Beloit, and he joined Rockford. And, you know, within a year, life completely took a turn that none of us could have seen coming. And so he had joined, my brother is also a Rockford police officer. And so he and my brother were working out of the same district, opposite shifts. And so on the morning of November 5th, a traffic stop went wrong, and life completely flipped on its head for all of us. He was a veteran. He was part of the Army National Guard. He had served overseas. He had actually started with the Army National Guard while he was still in high school. So he literally spent his entire life in service to his country, to his community. And so, you know, we now have two organizations that were founded in the wake of his loss. The Jamie Cox Foundation is run by his wife and my brother and some other friends and family that are on their board. And then I took on the Blue 815 role.
So that's an important distinction. Is there are two separate organizations. It's not one.
Correct. Yep. We are two separate organizations. We partner on a lot of events, and I'm kind of a common person that you're going to see at their events and ours. So it kind of gets a little bit confusing for the community, but we are two completely separate organizations with two different boards, and I only sit on Blue 815's board.
Okay. So this 5-year anniversary this year, is there any special events that you wanted to make sure we know about coming up in this fall area, or is there anything else about it that you want to make sure we all know about?
Yeah, so we do have some events coming up. I guess I didn't really answer the question you asked about like what we do. So we do have 4 pillars. I see you have our website pulled up. So up at the top, our 4 pillars are listed, which are building awareness, bridging citizens and law enforcement, empowering support, and honoring our fallen. So everything that we participate in and that we are putting our time and efforts towards are falling under one of those 4 pillars. And a lot of times everything we do is kind of crossing into all 4. So social media is a big piece of what we do for all 4 of those things. You know, we're building awareness through our social media pages. We're on, you know, we have a group and a page on Facebook. We have an Instagram. We're on TikTok. Not quite as active on TikTok, but we are on TikTok. We are, you know, trying to be a part of as many events as we can. We're a small group. I have 6 board members total. And so we kind of spread ourselves thin to be a part of as many things as we can, given that we all work full-time jobs as well. You know, today, for instance, is the anniversary of Detective Rice's end of watch. And so, you know, as soon as I get off of here, that's the first thing I'm going to do is put up a post to honor him. I talked to his daughter yesterday, made sure she knew that I was thinking of her, and our group has their back. So just making sure that the families feel supported and know that their hero is never going to be forgotten as long as we exist in this community.
That's one of those. Tom probably remembers this too. It was Kevin Rice, right? Kevin was.
Yeah, it was just. I used to work with his mom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, still remember.
Yeah, it's like interesting, like those, you know, a lot of people obviously in the community remember exactly where they were when they heard the news of Kevin's loss, and same for James. You know, like people will never forget those moments that are ingrained into our community, and you know, really reminders, I think, and between Kevin and Jamie were 16 years where we didn't see an officer killed in the line of duty in our community. And there was no social media at the time of Kevin's loss. And so it was just a really big, a big difference between the two in that case. You know, it's more in people's faces now because people are scrolling the internet nonstop and scrolling social media nonstop. And so, you know, it's kind of like you have to take that and turn it into something positive and make sure that people understand. You know, when Jamie was killed, one of the things we heard the most was like, I didn't realize that this happens as often as it does, you know, and I didn't realize that, you know. I remember my brother saying, you know, one of like first few days that it happened, like there's already been 2 more officers killed since Jamie in the last couple of days. And I was just taken aback, like, what? There's other people that are dealing with this same horrible thing that we are right now. And yeah, I mean, just in the last few days alone, there's been over 24 officers, I believe, shot across the country. And these are things that you're not seeing on mainstream media. So if we can share about those things and provide a platform for that information to get out there, that's what we want to do.
Yeah, you're referencing a couple of 3 officers were shot yesterday, I believe it was, in Miami-Dade County. And,
yeah,
and
there
it's
were
really
actually
sad.
there's another shot. I don't remember exactly where as well. And there were
Yeah.
there was one that was killed in a car crash that we posted about last evening in Memphis, and another one critically injured in the same crash. I mean, it's just ongoing, and you know, the second something bad happens on the other side, it's all over. But
I have several friends who are police officers. I was actually studying to be one long time ago, and it just didn't pan out for me. But I'm very blue friendly, and everybody should be blue friendly. Pay attention, folks, to what's going on, because there's so much animosity out there. We have to band together and be one. We really, truly have to be united on this, because we cannot allow the people who protect us to be treated like garbage. We cannot allow it to happen. And what I love about your organization, and any organization like that, is that the memory of Jamie Cox, the memory of Kevin Rice, the memory of Randall Blank, who was the one who was killed, I think, before Kevin Rice, needs to still, yes, New Year's Eve, I believe, by Owlie Matson. How do I remember that name? I just remember it. But anyway, it made a big impact on me, because that was the time that I was actually taking law enforcement classes. So I do remember that. It stayed in my brain, and it needs to stay in all of our brains, because this is something we can never forget, and we can never take for granted. These men and women are putting their lives on the line every single day. And if you're the spouse of a police officer, you don't know if he or she is coming home that night. That's a horrible thing to have to live with. And God bless everybody in the law enforcement community, and God bless you for doing this. And I'm so sorry for your loss. You know, it's awful, but keep the memory going so that we never, ever forget.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the problems with, you know, social media is like, it's here today, gone tomorrow. And if it's out of your sight, it's out of your mind. Like, that's kind of how we've been trained. And that's, you know, something that we do is try to keep it in your mind. Like, you might get tired of seeing it if you're seeing our posts all the time, but there's also people that aren't seeing them at all. And so if it pops up on their feed once in a great while, like that, then they remember, you know, for even a second. And I think that's another thing, like that we want to touch on is like the families of law enforcement officers really go through hell every shift. You know, it's in the back of your mind, whether you're presently thinking about it or not. You're obviously trying not to. You've got other things in life, but you know, in 2020, our community saw protests, and you know, there were social media groups out there filming live, and my sister-in-law and I sat on the couch in tears watching my brother and his colleagues form a line across, you know, the District 1 lawn and get bricks thrown at them and all these things. And like, we're watching that and watching people scream in their faces and horrible, horrible things be said, you know, and that time we provided a safe place for our Blue families, you know, and we've been told that so many times. Like, I know your page is a safe place that I can go on Facebook or I can go on social media and remember that we do have support, because you don't always feel like you have support. And a lot of people aren't willing to publicly tout that support because it comes with backlash, you know?
Yeah.
Right. It's unfortunate that a lot of it gets politicized, especially when you look at the force that we have, not just in Rockford, but across the country as well, how diverse it really is. And I'm not just talking skin color. It is a very diverse force of people who are trying to keep the public peace. You know, that's what it's all about.
We do have events coming up that kind of are meant to also kind of bring that education piece in and give the public a little bit of a firsthand understanding. We have a big event coming up with Loves Park Police Department in September. So it's going to be September 12th at Loves Park City Hall in the evening from 6 to 8:30. It's going to be called Lights and Ladders. And we were a key part of helping them plan. They wanted to do, something different that hasn't been done in the community. And we had this excellent idea that we had seen done in another, up in Janesville, actually, for a community event where they had set up different stations that community members could participate in. And so that's what we're doing with the Loves Park Police Department. We're going to set up, it's going to be all different first responders. So paramedics are going to be teaching how to put on tourniquets, and you can the public actually will get to practice doing that. The fire department's going to set up some sort of a smoke demonstration, and the public can figure out how to crawl their way through the smoke maze. The police department, one of the ones I'm excited about, is they're going to have a use of force demonstration where the public can participate and they can actually see the quick response that's required when they're determining the level of use of force to use in their jobs. We're going to have a traffic stop simulation, because a lot of these officers who are killed in the line of duty, this is happening during traffic stops. And people are scared, and there's really a way to go about it where, it's going to cause minimal issue if everybody's on the same page and understanding what has to happen during that. We're going to have a DUI simulator. And so just another way that we can educate the public and kind of give them, as best as we can, I think, a firsthand view at how these first responders do their jobs.
Awesome. That's awesome. And if somebody wants to support you, there's a volunteer page. There's a volunteer link, I should say, on your website. There's also this financial support grant application to take a look at, all on blue815.org. We got the link in the chat for you there. Another event coming up, the 5th annual Back the Blue Boat Parade coming up August 18th. And then, as Andrea was mentioning, the annual Jamie Cox Motorcycle Rally too is coming up at the end of August on the 24th. So there's a couple different opportunities to support Blue 815, Jamie Cox Foundation, and all other things happening here in the State Line area. So really appreciate all you're doing. And I know I could feel you when you felt that you failed in your first attempt there. And obviously that sparked you to greater things. So praise God for that little failure to make you go, wait a minute, I'm doing more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It takes a failure, and you forget that when you're in the midst of it. It hurts. You don't know what the road is that lies ahead. And I couldn't have ever imagined 5 years later we'd be where we are. But I'm so thankful for the supporters we have. I mean, we are fully funded by donations, and the fact that we've been able to stay afloat for 5 years, I think says something about our community, and I'm proud of that. So
doesn't it make you scratch your head and go, what the heck? When you failed, you didn't fail, you just learned a better way, I guess. But doesn't it make you scratch your head when you think, how could anybody have said no to the proposal, to what we were wanting to do?
Yeah, it was an interesting debate. It was an interesting debate for sure. I understand, you really have to step back and take other perspectives into consideration. And thankfully, with the job I have a lot of training in understanding perspectives from, other groups of people and other beliefs. And it takes a lot of patience sometimes, and it takes a lot of reflecting, but you really do. And I think if more people would stand back and reflect and just take a second to think of the perspective of our first responders and specifically law enforcement, maybe we could dial the hate down just a little bit,
Right. I think the best way I've come to, conclude to describe some of these things, especially when I'm, when I'm talking with family and friends about events of the world and stuff. The way that I look at it is there are micro things and there are macro things. And in our personal lives, we're looking at micro things all the time, the things right in front of our face, the things that deal with us directly. And those are let's face it, they're micro, tiny things in the scope of all the world, in a scope of the city, the state, the country, the world. So what's the macro? Try to, like you just said, try to step back, take a look at the bigger picture here. Yes, we want this micro thing to happen, but unless it makes sense for the whole macro of the world, it might not happen. You just gotta just gotta pull up your pants and you put on your boots and go on and find something else to work at. And it doesn't mean give up. It just means, okay, let's refocus this and find something that makes more sense for the
well, and I think there's just a lot of stereotyping that happens. Like one group doesn't want to be stereotyped for one thing, but then they're stereotyping another group, you know, right alongside it. And it creates so much chaos where we all really, I think, when it comes down to the basics, want the same thing, you know, and want everybody to go home safe, whether it's the guy that's getting pulled over at the traffic stop or the officer that's pulling him over. You know, we just want both parties to go home safe, and it doesn't work out that way a lot of the time, and that's really sad to think about.
Well, do you want to direct everybody again to your Facebook group page? Take a look at the events that are coming up there, and blue815.org is probably the simplest place to go to and check that out. So that is currently in the chat, easy to find. There we go. Put it on the screen for you real quick. Anything else that we didn't ask you about this morning, Andrea, before we let you go?
No, just thankful you guys invited us to come on, and you know, I think this is how we continue to grow and continue to get our message and what we're trying to do out there. So I'm really appreciative of the time and the offer.
You got it. You got it. We'll stay in touch and look forward to promoting your future events. All right.
Thank you.
Go Blue, and I don't mean Michigan.
And nope, he doesn't. I can guarantee you that. All right, Andrew, have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye.
Blue 815.